Hope everyone's having a good day. Today, I'm looking at the Samurai, the SRP C07 orange dial watch. I'm not huge on orange dial watches, but this one and the Monster I think look cool. I personally would rather have the minute track right here. I think I'd rather that be all black. That's just my opinion, because I think that it kind of takes away from the orange of the dial, and if it was all black, then the dial would pop more. But there's probably people that disagree with me. This one, and another thing, it actually lines up really well, the inner chapter ring and the indices. It looks off on camera, but in person it looks like it's pretty much dead on as far as everything lining up, including the pip, and I think that has to do with the orange. Just kind of like gives it a bleed over effect, maybe. So what are your dimensions here? I got about 43 millimeter in diameter, about 13 millimeters thick. It's probably thinner than that because, as you can see, the bezel, it's just a little higher than that crystal, which is Seiko's Hardlex. So, sorry, it probably closer to 12 thick. It's not overly thick for a dive watch. 200 meter water resistance. I'm a big fan of the Monster hands on this one. I know some people don't like the Monster hands because of the short hour hand. I like the Monster hands. I think they look cool and they fit the watch. Oh, and then it also has the typical 22 millimeter lug width here that Seiko does, and it does have the pin and collar system, which I've said before I don't care for. I would rather screw pins like the strap code that I reviewed not long ago. I like the bracelet. I didn't like the way that the company did business, but I've worn this watch every day for about, I don't know, 2 weeks on this bracelet because I'd seen people complain about screws backing out. I went over them the other day. Again, the screws haven't moved. I have nothing backing out there. As far as size comparison, so you can see if you have a turtle, Samurai and the turtle they're pretty close. The Samurai to me looks bigger. That's just just because of the angles. I think I think it's just more of an illusion than anything. Oh, one thing I didn't measure. Let me put this one back on real quick. Is the lug-to-lug distance, which is about 48 millimeters. And then if you look right here, because these kind of jet out like on an oyster style, like your a normal oyster style type bracelet. If you measure it from there, then it puts you at about 53 and a half, 54. But because of the way that they they go with the flow of the case, it doesn't wear big on the wrist. Things I don't like, once again, I mean the screw pins, because it helps if I keep the watch in frame. I would rather have screw pins than the pin and collar system. I don't like it. I've said that before. And Seiko being Seiko, I really prefer a 4 o'clock crown. 3 o'clock's all right, but I prefer 4, since that way it doesn't dig into the back of your wrist, like it would here. I prefer the 4 o'clock. The bezel has it's smooth. It does have just a bit of back play, but not much. I like the knurling that they used on this. It's just different. I think it's easier to grip than this style. I would like to see, I think the Seiko Turtle, SKX, whatever, would benefit because the bezels on these are, so much taller. But with the knurling, I think you get a little bit better grip. I think that the Turtle and the SKX could benefit from having that. And the knurling does match the knurling that is on the crown. And as you can see, this one, let's see if I can get it so you can see it all the way through. I saw a lot of the Samurais when they were first coming out, people were having trouble with the crowns being off. This one's on in the middle like it should be. There is, let me get it out here. When it's all the way out, there's a little bit of crown play, not a ton, and not anything nearly as bad as your typical Orient. That's one of the bad thing I really have to say about Orient watches is their crowns just feel like they're going to fall off to me. I do like the case shape. On this side, you can see it's kind of chamfered in just a little bit, I guess you would call it. And then you have that polish in the middle, which gives it a nice pop. But when you get over to your crown side, they really cut the crown guard up, which is nice, and it doesn't really add any benefit as far as you feeling the crown, but it does add the benefit in you getting a grip on the crown. This one has Seiko's 4R35 movement, which if you're familiar with the Seiko movements, your 4R36 is your day date, and your 4R35 is your date elite. So it's your typical, 3 hertz movement. Power reserve, I let this one run down just to see. I gave it a full wind, and then wore it for 2 days. And it finally died, I think, about 42 hours into it. I don't know how typical that is, but this particular watch, I think that's about when I got it to die. I want to think it was right about 42 hours. The clasp it's a typical Seiko clasp with your double push button. This one, though, I almost wish there was, like everything else, maybe one more micro adjust if they could fit it in there. And it does have your typical dive extension over here. If I can get it to work. Or not. This one does not want to work with me right now. But it's a fairly thin bracelet design. Doesn't bother me at all. I don't mind these Seiko stamp bracelets. It's what I've come to expect from, Seiko. But I just wish it was a little more solid feeling. But like I said, it doesn't bother me one way or another. Overall, though, the bracelet, it's good, solid construction. This one is what we call a tour watch. We all kind of pitch in, take a look at it. This particular example we bought from Mimo's Jewelry. And if you guys shop there, if you use the code ROB35, you'll get 35% off your order. And, when you're talking $500, 30%'s a pretty good discount. And Mimo is super great to deal with. I mentioned that in another video. That's who I actually got this turtle from. But that's about it on my thoughts on it. I like the watch. It's neat. It's different looking. There's a couple things I would change. But for the most part, if you want something different, the Samurai is a good choice, I think. I think it offers a good value for the money. This one's been fairly accurate, decent power reserve. And if you like the orange, if you can find this one, I mean, this is going to be easier to find than an orange monster. And with the new line of monsters coming out, I think this is going to be considerably cheaper for you, especially if you can get a hold of Mimo and have him get you one, and use that discount code that I just mentioned. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised with it if you can wear a bigger watch. If you want something smaller that wears like an SKX or smaller than an SKX, this won't be for you. But if you're, I mean, my wrists are about 7 1/4, and it fits on my wrist just fine. So anyway, thanks for watching. I got some more watches coming to review, so hopefully I can throw up some more videos a little bit quicker than, I think it's been about 2 weeks since I did my last one. So hope everybody has a good weekend. Thanks for watching again.